Hello, everybody. You're listening to the Evil Tower podcast. My name's Oliver G. Next to me, Lina and G.
Hello.
And we're doing another one of these itinerary episodes on an episode I've been meaning to do since the beginning. Kid-friendly Paris. It's been daunting. I haven't had kids.
And now it's more relevant than ever.
And this is one that we did more research for than ever, it feels like. We've been doing kid-friendly activity research all day, it feels.
Yeah, I know. Well, really, we've been gathering information for the past 3 years because our oldest boy, he is 3 years. So I'm not going to say we're experts.
We're experts on Paris under 3. And now for this episode, we're going a bit older because I want to start with an email we got from Kim. And she says, "Hi Oliver, my husband and I are taking our 8-year-old son to Paris for a week in November. His middle name happens to be Oliver."
Very good taste.
That's what I'm thinking. We've got parents with good taste.
We'd like to help you.
And we want to make sure to do kid-friendly activities so that he has a good time. If he doesn't have a good time, we don't have a good time. What sense are you getting about this 8-year-old?
No, just normal kid. By the sound of it, actually.
Normal kid in charge.
Exactly, normal kid.
She continues, "Any suggestions? We're planning on taking him to Versailles, but I'm concerned about whether he'll enjoy that. Any tips?" So last time we did an itinerary episode like this, you and I went head to head.
Yeah, we battled it out.
And we let people vote. But in this instance, we're teaming up. We're teaming up, yeah. And the idea is we're going to throw as many good tips at you guys, even if you don't have children. This will be
well, I feel like these tips are for people who actually want to enjoy Paris themselves, not just like travel for the kid. Yeah. It's like if you want to have a good time as a family.
And I think about 80% of the things we say are doable by yourself without children.
Yeah, for sure.
What I want to say before we get into it, this show is brought to you by My Private Paris, and they're going to chime in at the end of the episode. And it's going to tie in a bit. I actually asked Bertrand for his top day trip out of Paris, one that I'm going to do with him soon. He said it's Versailles, and he's going to talk about that at the end of the episode. So hang around for that. He's going to talk about the best way to visit that town. Not just the palace, but the town. Versailles, it's a town.
Yeah.
Not just a palace.
I think a lot of people don't realize. I didn't really realize that, to be honest. So
capital V. So I back and forth with Kim on this email to get a little bit more information, and she had some ideas, some that seemed a little bit off.
Like?
Well, for example, she said she wants to go to the Pompidou. Is there a cool playground by the Pompidou? I don't even know what she's talking about there. Do you know what?
No, I can only imagine she means that Kandinsky water feature fountain thing, which is not really a park. And it's like, yes, it's nice. It's a nice little art water installation.
Kids going to hate it.
But it's like, it's literally nothing to do. You just look at it, maybe take a, I don't know, selfie.
Yeah, not even.
It's not that cool.
And don't bother with the Pompidou for the child, I think. We're going to be pretty strict on this list. We're going to get straight into it now, I think. But it's built for an 8-year-old who's in charge. Or parents with an 8-year-old in charge, and we've divided it into sections, beginning with indoor culture.
Exactly, and by that we mean sort of museums or that sort of activity. Okay, and I'm just going to reel a few of them off here.
Go for it.
Okay, first of all, we have the Atelier de Lumière, and it's indeed the 11th arrondissement.
Brilliant.
So what it is, it's like a big indoor space, and they're projecting, they usually highlight an artist, a very famous artist like Van Gogh or Monet or something. And they take these famous paintings and they turn them into sort of like a video show.
Moving art, yeah.
Exactly, and they project them on the floor and the walls.
And children are running around everywhere, and
exactly.
They do children's
And they match it with music, and it's a really sort of, you literally walk into the piece of art, which is really cool. And it's great for all ages.
Tintin, they did a Tintin one there, so if you're in luck, Kim, you can go to that one.
Yes, and it's very cool. Next up, we have the Palais de Tokyo, which is a big art museum.
Loads of different exhibitions.
Opposite the Eiffel Tower. And it's just a big indoor space. It's great. You don't feel too crowded usually. Can recommend. We also have, close by, we have the aquarium. I still haven't been, but I know it's an aquarium and, that's always good for kids. We also have the museum, the hunting museum. It's called Chasse de la Nature.
So you recommended that to Will Easton.
Yeah.
I'm going to get back to this in a second, but I went there really recently. I think in the episode I think I maybe disagreed with you on that one.
Yeah.
But after going back, top tip.
See,
so
listen
good.
to your wife.
So good, especially when we say it's good for children. Like there's a taxidermied polar bear standing there as you go in.
Exactly, it's fun. It's a bit adventurous.
Tell me an 8-year-old is going to love that.
Exactly.
And similarly, you've got here des rôles.
Yeah, it's very much the same kind of vibe. Dayrol is technically a shop, but it feels like a museum. It's filled to the brim with stuffed animals.
Yeah. Well, I was talking to one of the other...
stuffed animals.
Yeah,
I might add.
ethically stuffed or ethically... I think they
acquired.
died in... Yeah.
They died a natural death.
I featured her on the show before, the woman in charge there, and she explained it all. So you can go and listen to that too. But I was talking to another latte papa. Might have to explain that.
Maybe.
In Sweden. What is it actually in Sweden, a latte papa?
Well, in Sweden, I think you have to step back a little bit because in Sweden you have the parental leave it's considerable.
I think it's 18 months per child.
Yeah.
Paid at 80%.
So you have a lot of these daddies walking around town in charge of it's not just mums, which is usually the norm.
A lot of them split at 50-50, mum and dad.
Exactly. So you have these dads walking around, usually going for a little coffee, a takeaway latte.
These hot daddies with hot lattes.
And hence the term latte papa.
France isn't at all as generous with parental leave,
No.
but I'm a latte papa.
In a way.
No, I am. Okay. I take the kids to the park with a latte, happy to do it. And there's another one that I talked to who has his finger on the pulse of Paris. He didn't know about des rôles.
There you go.
He had no idea about it. So you're off the beaten path a little bit. But just walk in like you own the place and go upstairs. Des rôles. I should add, everything we mention will be in the show notes and the blog post and Substack, so you needn't write it all down. Before we get into the next section, shout out to Will Easton. Do you remember who Will Easton is?
Sure do.
He's the one that a couple months ago said he was coming to Paris, had like a 12-hour layover, and he's the one we wrote this
itinerary for. And
then we never heard from him.
I know,
and
it was such a mystery.
After all this, like guessing who he was. And everything.
Was he a figment of our imagination?
He's got back in touch.
Do-do-do.
He sent me an email telling everything he did on the 12 hours, and it was pretty much every single thing I recommended and you recommended.
He was so busy.
And he's a good photographer.
I know.
Now, you said you thought he was like a Wall Street cutthroat banking
like
mogul.
Michael Douglas in the 80s.
Yep. And I think I said he was like an 18-year-old
backpacker
from Brooklyn or something like that.
Probably,
we were both so wrong. He's like a dad from, I think,
Is
from
he a
like,
latte papa?
No, I think he's like a dad from the Midwest, I think, who takes great photos and has a great taste for things to do in Paris.
Like podcasts.
Anyway, I'll share his itinerary with the members. That's what I'm going to do with the Patreon members. The next thing for kids, I wrote this thing, the Big Five.
The Big Five.
Now, Kim and her 8-year-old boy, she said she's going to be staying near the Jardin des Plantes. And she's like, I'm not sure about that.
On the left bank.
Yeah. Now, I'm going to tell you, Kim, this is the gold mine. And it grew on me a lot. I call it the Big Five. I just made that up today. But there's 5 cool things for children to do there. And for adults, really. There's the Natural History Museum at the back, which is nothing short of stunning.
Yeah.
It like you go in, it's like...
Yeah, you have no idea, but it's really good.
It's hard to explain. It's like, imagine an old ship interior or a ballroom or something. Big old wood with balconies and a long line of marching animals stuffed like lions and stuff.
I realize we talk a lot about taxidermy. It just happens to be, I don't know, I feel like that's a thing for kids.
Yeah, we do talk. But
weirdly, I mean, very niche.
Yeah, but it's more than that. It's got all sorts of animals. Anyway, that's one of the Big Five. If you cross over to the other side of that park, so you don't even forget the park, the big park that it's in. You got the zoo, which isn't even the best zoo in Paris, but it's right there across the road, and there's some cool kangaroos and stuff there. You got the greenhouse, better than it sounds. Like you got to pay to get in there, but it's a beautiful greenhouse. You got a maze right behind that. A maze in Paris, going all the way to the top.
Amazing.
And then lastly, you've got, I think it's called the Natural Science Museum, which I think this will be the top one for the 8-year-old.
Yeah.
Because it's like got fossils, it's got dinosaur skeletons, it's got like human skeletons, it's got like fetuses in jars and things like a whole bunch of weird stuff.
Almost feels a bit Harry Potter magical.
Sort of,
weird.
yeah. So there's the big 5. That's a whole day and stuff for the adults too. Next section, we're really racing through it here.
We are.
The outdoor culture.
Yep.
Let's whiz through it. One.
I came up with the bateau mouche, actually, the big tourist boats that go down the Seine. I think that's a great way for kids and families to see Paris and see a lot of the big monuments without having to walk too much.
And being on the water. And they all scream when they go through the... Yeah.
It's something... Yeah.
They scream when they go under the tunnels, which is like...
Which is just fun.
I was screaming last time.
I think it's great. Because as a family, you don't really want to walk too far. Everyone gets tired and grumpy. And like, this is a good way to travel.
Also, we did the hop-on, hop-off bus for the first boat recently for the first time. Pretty good.
Yeah. I actually really liked it.
It's more expensive.
Pricey,
yeah.
But, I mean...
But you can get off.
As
you don't
an activity,
have to,
great.
Pony riding. Now, this is a bit of like, I don't know how old the children are. We got a 3-year-old who did it. Older children do it too. But you can do these beautiful pony rides through Luxembourg Gardens, Parc Monceau, and the Champ de Mars.
I think 3 to 6, maybe.
Yeah.
Ideal.
Well, the reason I add Champ de Mars is because they also have go-karting.
Yeah.
I don't know if
Not
it's
always.
year-round, but sort of halfway down that big park, you can do go-karting, which seems like a pretty cool thing too. This next one's for you, because I've never been here. The Jardin d'Acclimatisation.
There you go. No,
the Jardin d'Acclim.
unpronounceable. That's it. Yes, and I've only been there in the middle of winter, so everything was sort of half shut.
So I thought it was just a garden.
No, this is more like a fair.
Like an amusement park.
Amusement park, exactly. They have rides, they have animals.
They got 42 rides and roller coasters. Yeah. I had no idea it was that big.
No, it looks really cool. I just need to go and verify that it is as cool as everyone says it is.
And
but I think this is really a thing to do.
Shout out to Paul and Danielle, parents that run the Peloton Cafe. We were there this morning talking about this list, and they were the ones that really recommended this place. And they've got older kids now, so... Yeah,
they got 3 kids, and they've lived here for a long time, and I feel like they really know what to do.
2 more. The Big Zoo.
The Big Zoo.
We went to the Big Zoo out in Vincennes, and as far as zoos go, I know there are a lot of people who have no time for zoos. But if you want to see one, that one out by Vincennes is really something.
Oh, it's
really
good.
something.
Yeah.
Like
surprisingly good for a big city like Paris.
I thought so too.
Pretty central.
Yeah, and every couple of years, some animals escape too. I remember, I think it was the baboons.
Which adds to the fun.
Oh yeah. You know, if I had a zoo,
yeah,
I would definitely let the animals escape once every 2 years. Like 100%. What a great ad. What a great
perfect.
And then you've got...
I added the ice skating, the famous ice skating at the Grand Palais, which is reopening this year. So make sure to snag some tickets.
We gotta go.
Yes,
Let's get tickets.
Yes.
Good. Because that's been under renovation forever, reopened for the Olympics.
And the ice skating is only winter time, so make sure...
You're a good ice skater as a Swede, aren't you?
We'll see about that.
Can you go backwards?
I can.
Yeah.
You just wiggle your bum. It's true.
Okay, well, that'll help. Okay, 2 more sections: eating and drinking, and then shopping to finish. Before we get into the bit from My Private Paris, but I'll give them a shout out because he's going to talk about Versailles visiting, not for kids in general, just for everybody. And I called him knowing that bit would be at the end of the episode, and I said, Versailles for children, Bertrand, what do you say? And he said the best thing for an 8-year-old is getting on a bike, because Kim said she's going out there. Get on a bike in the big gardens. And we've done that before.
Yeah, that's fun.
Exceptional.
Yeah, really fun.
Much better than cycling in Paris. I wouldn't want an 8-year-old cycling in the city.
No.
But in those long, green...
it's perfect. Let off some steam, some energy.
Yep.
Great.
More from My Private Paris, this show's sponsor, and Bertrand and Versailles at the end. First, eating and drinking. I'm hesitant to reveal the next one because this is one of our
our HQs.
Yeah. But we will.
We will.
Ground control.
Yes, and I'm not too worried because this is in the 12th arrondissement. It's a little bit further. It's not super central, but it's really cool. It doesn't really feel like a Parisian experience, but if you're into more of a like modern vibe,
It's hard to even explain, isn't it?
This is very cool.
It's almost like food trucks.
Yeah,
but
it's an old abandoned train station. So you have the inside bit, and in the summertime you have the outside bit as well. And it's full of like sort of food trucks, but permanent. Lots of different types of food, and you also have activities. They have like little shops there. They have, what do you call these, like pinball machines?
Yeah,
they have
exactly.
and it's big, and they put on little parties,
And
it's
because
great.
I'm not sure if it was a train station or like, you know, like a plane hangar, like for trains, like where the trains were stored.
It might
I think
be
that's
that,
what it
yeah.
was. And so it's huge.
Yeah.
And so it's a big, you know, it's not lots of little corridors. It's a big room, enormous.
Yeah.
And children,
They just roam around.
they do circles.
Yeah.
And you just hope that they don't go out. But there's
And you
also-
have guards at every exit,
Yeah.
so like if a kid just runs away, they'll be
They're
caught.
there to grab
It's
the children
great.
and turn them around. So ground control, really a top tip. And then a smaller version of that,
But more central
yeah, and much more central, obviously, is the Comptoir Général,
is by the canal.
which is a happening nightclub as well.
Yeah,
But they open, I think, at like midday, and
Yeah.
families love to go in there.
and it's pretty fun because they have like above the bar they have it's like a pirate ship.
Yeah. Which is
Yeah.
funny because it works for adults. Like when you go there at
Totally.
night, when we were back in our going out days,
I know those days.
we'd go there and we loved that pirate ship. But also there's a kind of African theme. I think they do a lot of African style sort of drinks.
Yeah.
And there's even shops and stuff involved, and it's a bit of a restaurant. You can watch the like soccer, the football. We watch World
it
Cup
is
there.
like a big bar restaurant, but also it's really chill, big. It's like one of the rare bigger indoor spaces.
And
in
big is
Paris.
important when you've got children, especially young children.
Yeah, they
need
don't want to
f-
sit still.
Yeah. So restaurants are hard to give recommendations for, but look for places that have room
Yeah.
for your children. Otherwise, crap on the go, always a good idea.
Always a good idea.
Lastly, we got shopping. 3 real different shopping experiences.
Yeah.
There's the first one we've got is the pain d'épices, which is like spiced bread. But it's a toy shop in the Passage Jouffroy or whatever it is. Mm-hmm. And there you got lots of arts and crafts.
A
And
lot of
toys.
wooden toys, and it has a nice feel to it. It's more like a small, independent, handmade almost shop,
And that passage,
which is very rare.
in the covered passage, is
Yeah.
brilliant in itself.
And they have that. Speaking of taxidermy, they have that wolf with wings a little further down. That
That is weird.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There is a lot of taxidermy. We should do an episode on it. There's another taxidermy shop in the first or second arrondissement that I just stumbled upon.
Yeah, with all the colorful chickens.
Yeah, that was a good... Maybe we're into taxidermy. Weird. 2 more here. Red Wheelbarrow, the bookshop.
Of course.
Now they've got 3 bookshops.
Yeah,
they're
it's
taking
like
over.
monopoly. Soon
Right.
we can build a hotel.
Shout out to Penelope. They've got one of them is now solely a children's bookshop. They're called the Red Balloon, surely after the film.
Cannot be a coincidence.
No, so the Red Wheelbarrow, which is after the poem, and then the Red Balloon is the children's bookshop. Only children's books. Big couch in there that the children sit. There's toys
in
on the
English
ground.
as well.
And you will almost, I don't think I've said this on the podcast. If you're coming to Paris and you're looking for our children's books, we've done 4 now, that is always going to be the place that you're most likely to find them, because almost all the bookshops buy fairly small quantities, even if they sell out quickly.
Yeah, Penelope, she's a real supporter.
Penelope goes, give me millions.
She goes by the truckload.
Yeah, so they're always, we never have to restock there.
Yeah.
And we've got a very prominent location. So that's my answer as to where you're guaranteed to find them.
Did we mention it's right by the Luxembourg Gardens?
So you could do some pony riding.
Exactly.
What about this last one, Bon Marché? Why have you recommended this?
Well, this is in the shopping section. So the Bon Marché, which is, it's a beautiful department store, nice and old. And they happen to have babysitting, which is crazy. Obviously, I'm sure it's not exactly free.
It's like where the celebrities get their babies.
I think so.
Yeah.
But I just thought it's worth a mention.
Yeah. And there's children's bookshop at the very, very, very top floor as well, plus
Yeah.
toys. That's where you want to
Yeah.
be. Look, we've rushed through it, and that was on purpose. This will make probably a pretty popular blog post or a Substack post, so we'll list out everything so that you can find it all. But I'm also interested in people's tips, especially as we've got children in Paris. If
let
you've
us
got
know.
suggestions, restaurants, cafes, anything that's child-friendly, maybe this is something we tackle again. Or maybe everyone who listens to this podcast doesn't care about coming to Paris with children, except for Kim, of course. And then we'll never touch the subject again. So vote with your comments and your emails. I'm going to hand everybody over from Lina to Bertrand while we talk about Versailles. That's a trip that Bertrand and I are going to do very soon. You'll be hearing the episode about it. And we're specifically, I think we're avoiding the palace. I think we're going to everything else. Yeah. So more from Bertrand in a second. Otherwise, Paris with Children, thanks to Lina and Oliver.
Thank you.
And here's a little music from Press Maxon to get us into the Versailles mood. Bertrand, how are you doing today?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm always well.
Always.
Yeah,
you look like you're always doing well.
Always when you're sitting next to me.
Thanks.
You said that you were going to tell me what the ultimate day trip outside of Paris is that we're going to do as well. And I think I already know where you're going with this.
Yeah, because I'm obsessed with it.
I think, can we start with your obsession with Versailles?
Yes.
Because when I said to you when we were in Champagne, I think I said something like, what do you do if you have a guest who knows more than you about Versailles? And you were like, how dare you offend me like that? I didn't realize that was your thing.
Yes. I think that started obviously when I was a little boy. I was obsessed with the Musketeers. The first costume party I went to, I was disguised as a D'Artagnan from the Three Musketeers, and on and on and on. And so it's set in the 1600s, which is when Versailles Palace is built. And every time I go there, and I've been to Versailles countless times, I picture myself as a musketeer.
Do you dress up as well? Have you been to the dress-up thing where you...
to the one in Versailles?
Yeah.
No, not yet.
Why not?
Well, we had tickets to go to it in 2020, and we all know what happened.
Okay.
So that's... but I definitely need to go. I've done a few parties at Versailles, electronic music festival and things like this. Going to the opera a few times. But the costume party, no.
You got to save something.
I tried, though. I tried to go give tours disguised as a musketeer.
Yeah.
But it's forbidden by the rules of visiting Versailles. You cannot be dressed up.
Really?
Yeah. And you cannot be dressed up even in the gardens. Because I wanted to organize a kid-friendly tour when I was, we would be 2 or 3, and there would be a princess, a musketeer, obviously me, and a king.
Such a good idea.
And yeah, I think it would be
I think there's a lot of rules out there. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. It's possible in the park.
Yeah.
But not in the garden.
When you say park, and I don't know the difference, the park and the garden.
So Versailles is a huge estate, over 800 hectares, so about 2,400 acres. And it's divided into different sections. You have the main palace, which is surrounded by the gardens. That is the very formal part with the fountains and all, which is walled, but it's a tiny bit of the estate. And then you have the park of Versailles,
right,
where you can ride the bicycles, you can ride a horse, you can jog, bring your dog, etc. And so there are much less rules.
And I think that sort of leans into what you were saying about before we press record, that a day trip to Versailles isn't just the palace.
No, it's also
is that what most people do? Just go to the palace and turn around and get on the train back?
A lot of people do that.
Yeah.
I don't let them do that when they're with me.
Yeah.
I do a minimum is the palace and the garden.
Yeah.
But if you give it more time and don't think that Versailles is like a museum or just a palace, then you have the rest of the estate is great because it also has 2 more private palaces mentioned, one which was of the Queen Marie Antoinette, and she built a beautiful hamlet and a farm, etc. So there still are animals, etc. But also the city itself is gorgeous. It looks like a movie set.
So when we're talking about, I think there probably are people, I'm sure most people don't know that Versailles is a city.
No.
A town.
Yeah.
Right? That word Versailles, people think maybe palace. No. Yeah. It's a proper place.
A town.
Yeah.
It has 100,000 inhabitants.
Yeah. A big town.
Yeah. It's the biggest in the Paris region after Paris.
Yeah. Okay, and so we're going to do a day trip there. I'm curious about how, for a man who's been there countless times, how you're keeping it interesting for yourself and how you're going to captivate my
Do you have a favorite movie that you can watch countless times?
Space Jam. No, it's not Space Jam.
I loved it. And you love nothing more than watching it with someone who's never watched it?
No, I get what you mean. Yeah,
That's
especially
it.
if there's a good twist or something in it.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, okay, cool. So that's something we can look forward to doing
Space
together. So when we go, we're going to go do all the big gardens and Marie Antoinette and stuff, and then
Yes, but I want also to show you the city. It has a extraordinary food market, a very beautiful antique dealers estate. Like a small neighborhood where it's only antique dealers. There's a beautiful cathedral. There's a beautiful flower and vegetable garden attached to it. The library of Versailles, the public library. You just walk in.
Cool.
It's where the independence of the United States was signed.
perfect. That's exactly what I want to see.
Yeah.
I want when we go, and I know you want to show the main things as well, but I also really want to see the things that are off that beaten track.
Yeah.
Because that's what I think for me personally, as a person living in Paris, I'm always a bit put off by Versailles because I think of the masses of people doing the same. Like, you know, in Paris in the Musée des Archives,
Oui,
yes.
yes.
I really love that museum.
Yeah.
And I compare it to a very small Versailles, and there's no people.
That's
and there's
true.
beautiful rooms and everything. And then I feel like if you could get away from all the people in Versailles, it would be amazing. So if you show me those things, I can't wait.
Well, there are two ways to do that. It's either pay a lot of money.
What's the second one?
Because we do have access to some part of Versailles which the public is not allowed to go.
Right.
So we can take you there, and we're just you and I, or whoever books a tour. And the second part is to do exactly what you say: is to visit Versailles, but not necessarily the palace, or not only the palace.
Yeah.
And because there was thousands of amazingly rich people living in the city, working at the palace or just attending the ceremonies, etc. And so they've built gorgeous homes. And now they are high schools, libraries, smaller museums.
Right.
And it's pretty amazing to also see that. So you understand that the palace was not isolated in the middle of nowhere, but it was a whole golden city.
Amazing. And you're going to get really, I can already tell you're going to get excited when you
Yeah.
take me out there. Okay, good. Are you going to dress up for at least the town bit?
Ooh, we could do that. I know a store where we could film that.
Okay. Well, I'm interested. I think a good point before we wind up is that it sounds like you talked about a million different ways to see Versailles, and the way My Private Paris works is you can adapt. So
Yes.
a lot of maybe your competitor tour companies have a Versailles tour that's A to B and back to A again. If people listening thinking, I'll check out what Bertrand and My Private Paris do, you can do pretty much anything. So
We've done birthday parties, photo sessions, vintage cars, driving through the park, horse bike riding, bicycles, food tour, and the palace.
there you go. You're only limited by your imagination, and your
Yes.
imagination will run wild. That's My Private Paris. Bertrand is his name. He'll be taking me out there soon as part of this partnership, and I'm looking forward to seeing Versailles through your eyes, the eyes of D'Artagnan.
Merci.